The wind howled like something alive, tearing through the frozen forest with merciless force. Daniel pulled his hood tighter around his face, but the cold still found its way into his bones. Northern Norway was supposed to be challenging, but not like this. Not deadly. Just hours ago, there had been 5 of them. A guided expedition. Well-equipped, confident. Then the storm hit without warning. Snow erased the trail. Visibility collapsed, and the GPS died as if the land itself rejected technology. Somewhere in the chaos, Daniel fell. When he woke up, the world had turned silent and white. He was alone. Daniel forced himself to stand. His head throbbed, his legs shook, but panic was more dangerous than the cold. He checked his backpack with trembling hands. A folding knife, 3 matches, half a chocolate bar, a thin emergency blanket. That was it. Night was coming fast. The forest ahead looked darker, denser, but trees meant shelter from the wind. He moved slowly, conserving energy, each step sinking into deep snow. The silence was unbearable. No birds, no movement, just the sound of his own breath, uneven and sharp. Then he saw footprints. They were faint, partially filled with snow, but unmistakably human. Hope surged through him, quickly followed by fear. If someone else was alive, why were they alone too? The tracks led into the forest and then disappeared. Daniel swallowed hard. Survival rule number 1 echoed in his mind. Adapt. Don't freeze. He gathered broken branches, scraped snow away from the ground, and used one precious match. The fire flickered weakly but stayed alive. As darkness fell, shadows danced between the trees. Every crack of ice sounded like a threat. Somewhere far away, a deep sound echoed. An animal. Maybe a wolf or something worse. Daniel gripped his knife. This wasn't just about surviving the cold anymore. This was about surviving the unknown. And the night had only just begun. Morning arrived without warmth. The sun was little more than a pale blur behind thick clouds, offering light but no comfort. Daniel's body ached, his fingers stiff and numb. He broke off a tiny piece of chocolate and let it melt on his tongue, hating how quickly it was gone. Hunger changes the way the mind works. It makes thoughts louder, sharper. He pushed deeper into the forest, following the slope downhill. After nearly an hour, something unnatural appeared between the trees, a wooden cabin, old, weather-beaten. The roof sagged, and one window was shattered, but it was shelter. Inside, the air smelled of damp wood and rust. In the corner lay an empty bottle and an old axe, its blade dull but solid. Daniel felt a rush of relief stronger than heat. Tools meant options. He reinforced the door, started a better fire, and melted snow for water. For the first time since the storm, he allowed himself to sit and think. Should he stay or move? Rescue teams searched open areas, but open areas killed people faster. The decision was interrupted by a sound outside. Footsteps. Daniel froze, heart pounding. He peered through a crack in the door. A man stood in the snow, tall, bearded, shaking violently from cold. His eyes were wide, desperate. "Please," the man whispered. "I thought I was alone. Trust was dangerous, but isolation was worse." Daniel opened the door. The stranger's name was Eric, Swedish. His group had split during the storm.
He had been walking for 2 days with almost no food.
2 survivors, 1 shelter, limited supplies. The balance had shifted. Living together did not mean trusting each other. Not fully. Daniel and Eric spoke carefully, sharing facts but guarding emotions. They worked in silence, improving the fire, rationing food, reinforcing the cabin walls. Cooperation was necessary but fragile. On the 3rd day, Eric's condition worsened. His foot showed signs of frostbite, swollen, pale, dangerously numb. Daniel knew the truth even if Eric tried to hide it. An injured man slowed everything down. That night, the wind returned stronger than before. The cabin creaked under pressure. Snow forced its way through cracks. The fire struggled. "We can't stay," Daniel said. Eric nodded slowly. "If we don't move soon, neither of us makes it." There it was, the unspoken fear finally spoken. Later, as the storm intensified, Eric looked at Daniel and said quietly, "If you have to choose, don't choose me." Daniel didn't answer. There was no right response. A loud crack shattered the moment. A tree fell against the cabin, collapsing part of the roof. Snow poured in. The shelter was dying. They had no choice. At dawn they left, Every step Eric took was pain. Every step Daniel took was a decision. How far could loyalty go before it became a death sentence? The storm followed them like a predator. Part 4. What Survival Means. By morning, the world felt empty again. The storm had passed, leaving destruction behind. Eric collapsed, barely conscious. Daniel stood over him, breathing hard, mind racing. This was the moment survival books never explained. Leaving Eric would increase his own chances. Helping him could kill them both. Daniel lifted Eric anyway. They moved toward the valley, where the trees thinned and the light changed. Hours passed. Time lost meaning. Then a sound. A helicopter. Daniel fumbled for his last match. His hands shook, but it lit. Smoke rose into the cold air. He waved, screaming, pouring every remaining ounce of strength into that moment. The helicopter turned. Rescue came quickly after that. Warmth, voices, hands pulling them up. Later, wrapped in blankets, Daniel looked at Eric, alive, barely, but alive. Survival, he realized, wasn't just about staying alive. It was about deciding how you stay alive, and what you're willing to carry with you after.